Issei Sagawa Kobe Cannibal. Japanese man Issei Sagawa, who shot and ate female German student in Paris in 1981 and died at the age of 73, was never jailed for his crime. He died of pneumonia on November 24th, and his funeral was attended only by relatives. Issei was born premature on April 26, 1949. He was very small enough to fit in father's one hand. As an adult, he still remained tiny for the rest of his life. He was about 5 feet tall. Not even just being a tiny person, he was quiet, modest, unassuming, non-threatening, and generally very shy. But he was a very, very intelligent man. In 1970, he stalked a German woman living in Tokyo and eventually tracked down where she lived and would watch her through the window without her noticing. Pretty much he was spying on her. He had a fantasy. The fantasy is that he had always wanted to have a tall, blonde, Nordic or Germanic woman as a dinner one day. It was something that followed him throughout his life, and like he said during the interview, it was a calling for him to do it. After watching her through a window, he decided to break into her apartment. He had dreamed of this since elementary school, and now it was finally his chance as the woman lay asleep before him, vulnerably. But unlucky for him, in this case, Sagawa woke her up as soon as he entered the room, and she began to scream. He got frightened by her scream and fled the scene. But later, he was arrested for attempting to rape the woman. No one knew what his real intention on the woman was, not even police. With no criminal history, he was not held in the jail. Sagawa's wealthy father paid off the woman so that she didn't file charges against his son. Though he is a very brilliant and intelligent student, Sagawa failed his entrance exam for a very highly ranked Japanese university that he had attempted to gain acceptance into. After this, he decided to study abroad and chose to study literature and language in Paris to seek doctoral in literature at Sorbonne in France. In 1981, his dream had come true. He fell in love with a tall Dutch woman by name Renee Harvelt. Due to Sagawa's knowledgeable and good student, she thought nothing of it when he asked her to teach him a German. She would go over to his house and teach him German, and he would pay her for a language lesson for a while. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, Sagawa decided it was his time to live the fantasies he's been living all his life for. He had all these years. Sagawa had already bought a gun. So one night, he invited Renee for dinner. And that night, he shot her back of the neck. Issei claims to have fainted afterwards as soon as he shot Renee. When he woke up, he raped her corpse, then proceeded to finally fulfill what he saw and his destiny by dismembering her body and eating her. He removed over 15 pounds of her flesh and ate her over the next 3 days. After 3 days of eating her, Sagawa walked into the woods in Pris Bois de Boulogne with the suitcases to dump the corpse in a remote lake when witnesses spotted him and he was arrested. During the interrogation, Sagawa didn't deny anything and told the police every little details. I killed her, and I ate her flesh. He was arrested with charges of first-degree murder. The police and prosecutors had a perfect case since the defendant had confessed to murder and cannibalism. But his fate didn't end here. The French judge would rule the man legally insane and unfit to stand trial. French medical experts deemed Sagawa was unfit for trial in 1983, and he was held in psychiatric institution before he was deported to Japan the following year. Hart-Evel's family continued to push for prosecution despite him being deported, where he would be locked in an asylum, with Japanese authorities figured out what to do with him. The authorities tried to go ahead and press charges, but loophole in Japanese law made it impossible for them to do so. It also didn't help that French authorities wouldn't turn over any of their relevant documents. All Japan could do was send Sagawa to an asylum, where he would eventually be declared mentally competent and released, free again to roam the streets of Tokyo. After his release August 12, 1986, Sagawa returned to the world where he was actually embraced by the public. Asawa would go on write a couple books, participating in game shows in Japan, and participated in crime movies as well. He would also become an artist, composing nude paintings and other such art from his apartment in Tokyo. He was on the road to success, from scholar of literature and drifter to imprisoned cannibal, and then ultimately to Japanese celebrity's household name. Issei Sagawa certainly has one of the most interesting tales of our time. He pretty much became celebrity status in Japan, and throughout his life he showed no remorse for his actions. He went on to write a novel like a memoir titled In the Fog, in which he reminisced about killing Harevelt, going into significant details. There were a couple writings that said, "After I went to study in Paris, my cannibalistic urges showed no sign of slowing down," he said. And another said, "Almost every night I would bring a prostitute home and then try to shoot them from behind while they washed their vaginas at the bidet. I tried hundreds of times, but for some reason my fingers froze up and I couldn't pull the trigger." And another says, "From around that time, it became less about wanting to eat them, but more obsession with the idea that I simply had to carry out this ritual of killing a girl no matter what." In that book also said into graphic details about his killing of Harevelt, and even suggested that she should have let him eat a small part of her while she was alive to prevent him killing her. He said, "This must sound rich coming from me, but the moment the girl became a corpse, I realized that I had lost an important friend, and even regretted killing her for a moment." And the other says, "What I truly wished was to eat her living flesh. Nobody believes me, but my ultimate intention was to eat her, not necessarily kill her. To this day, I still think, if only she had let me taste her, just a little bit. If we had spent another evening having dinner and chatting about our families, I never would have been able to kill her." These evidences shows that Renee never had wanted any attention with Sagawa, and Sagawa was only in love with her. And this shows that he was obsessed with her, and he just wanted to have sex with her, but she didn't want it, so his intention was to kill her. Due to him becoming really popular in Japan at that time, he would have lots and lots of female fans as well. And during the interview, in the statement that similarly echoes those eerie words, where Sagawa would go on recording taunting, saying to the female fans, saying, "I would like to invite any woman who wants to kill me to step forward. Beautiful woman only. That would be an ideal way for me to die. Maybe they can shoot me up with the morphine so that I don't feel any pain. Although, I guess the pain is part of the pleasure. Dying instantly is boring, so I want to savor the process of being killed. An alternative would be a drown in female saliva. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be covered all over in woman's spit? If I could die drowning in it, that would be my ultimate dream come true. I'm a cowardly man who killed another person. Yet, I can't face killing myself. So I guess dying at the hands of a woman would be my way of redemption." Just like this, he challenged a lot of women, but there would have to be beautiful women. But due to illness of pneumonia, he had died. It was a big issue when he had died. This was the most intense story of Issei Sagawa, and in Japan as well. A man who made a crime and ate a human and never went to jail for it. Isn't that pretty interesting? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you.